Namaste and welcome to all of you. Today we are going to look at a very practical issue that is happening in Indian society. We are going to look at the problems involving the Hindu festivals. We are going to look at from different dimensions how we ourselves are spoiling, we as in Hindus, how the external forces are also getting into creating more trouble. And finally, we are going to round it up with a few thoughts that what we can actually do and what is the actual intention of these festivals, and that's the purpose. And this talk is probably going to be more practical. It's going to be impacting more from a not only spiritual perspective but also from a social angle, because all of us are concerned in the social world and we are directly impacted by this. If something is happening in the spiritual world, well, if we are not tuned to it, it doesn't matter, right? But social world, whatever happens, all of us are involved. So let us look at what is a festival, and don't other religions also have festivals? Yeah, they have festivals that somebody was born, somebody created this religion or whatever. But in Sanatana Dharma, we have a whole lot of festivals. You won't find any other religion even having remotely 1/4 or 1/5 of the number of major festivals we celebrate. And if you look at it, everything is centered around a Hindu calendar, and most of us obviously have been slowly disconnected from our own past, that many of us don't even follow or even comprehend the Hindu calendar. The Hindu calendar is not like the Gregorian calendar, which is an artificial calendar which has no connection to the cosmos, no connection to anything whatsoever. It's just a calendar somebody cooked up. But what is so special about this Hindu calendar? The Hindu calendar, if you look at, is not related to. Now, we have the 7 days of the calendar, and if you really look at, it was the 7 days was probably fixed from the Hindu calendar. And if you look at all the names, even the names are so influenced because of the Hindu names. Sunday, Ravivar, Bhanuvara. Monday is moon day, what we call Somavara. So ityadi, Budhavara, Mangalavara, we have all the days connected with the grahas. But if you really look at from a year perspective, our perspective is more tied to the rashis, to the different positions where the sun is entering. So if answer is like what is typical east, if you ask that question, we all know the answer. Sun rises in the east. But have you ever woken up in the morning and consistently over a period of months seen, you will see what you consider as perfect east, the sun barely rises at that point. It is either to the left, if you are facing the east, that means it is north, or to the right of that point, which is south. And we have a word for that to capture that. It's called Uttarayana and Dakshinayana. So the sun basically is not literally starting in one place. It's moving all over. And our calendar captures a lot of these subtleties. So we are going to have Deepavali very soon. And we know that every single Hindu festival alone is the target of this cabal, this Hindu, anti-Hindu forces. People like PETA make a hue and cry whenever any Hindu festival is there. They'll put court case because they know pretty well that the Indian court system is a slave court system, something that is a colonial vestige, and that doesn't offer any protection to the Hindus. So let us look at a typical reason why people in the past, I'm talking about non-Abrahamic religion influence area throughout the world, throughout time. Festivals were always connected with, like, say, harvest. Festivals were connected with the equinox, the vernal equinox, or maybe like solstice, like winter solstice or summer solstice. So it was always tied to some cosmological phenomenon around the world. If you look at it, it is universal. Whether you look at some a pre-Columbus civilization in America, whether you go to the Mayas or Incas, or whether you go to any other civilization, you will find this. The Aborigines of Australia, the Incas of South America, of course, needless to say, India. Now, a few years ago, I wrote an article which I have pinned in the top in case somebody is interested. Our talk is going to be touching those points, but it's not necessarily centered around that. The essence of it is going to be in that idea, but we are going to, a lot of time has passed since the time the article has been written. So you will probably use that as a good reference material, but not necessarily an exact copy of what we are talking today. So I thought it will be useful for somebody who is interested in. So let us look at some of these basic festivals, and instead of, when I say where do we start, we start normally, like, we are so deracinated. When I say let's start with our new year, very few people will say, okay, my new year is in April. It is Ugadi, it is Vishu, it is whatever Hindu calendar we are found. We have different calendars, right? Based on the sun, or whether it is based on the moon. We have Chandramana and Sauramana and those sort of things. But just to keep it simple, because we are so deracinated, let's start with the new year. And let's start with the new year, that is January 1st. And if you really look at this January 1st, we are really hitting it so hard. January 1st, if you go midnight, December 31st, a lot of temples are open, all sorts of special services. But there is no significance. Yeah, you can go and worship Bhagavan anytime, but there is no significance to that calendar. That entire calendar has no cosmological significance, because if you look at the next January 1st, that would have no meaning. It would, in the Hindu calendar, it will be a different day, or even a different month, if you will. So how do we have taken this entire idea of, okay, praying to Bhagavan, which is a good thing. But what is the average person do on December 31st? I'm not talking about the people here, I hope not. The average person is drunk. The average person, so what is the new year they are welcoming? God only knows what they are welcoming. So we start this kind of like connection, the festivity, with an artificial calendar, with an imported calendar that has no connection. We give a fake idea that, oh, we'll start the new year. Okay. But are we starting with Bhagavan? No, we are starting it with our favorite, whatever alcohol. And at that time, if there are around the world people burst crackers, note very carefully, that time there is no pollution. But in Deepavali, if you are bursting crackers, only then there will be pollution. There is absolutely no pollution if you burst it for New Year's. You have to know that there are like concessions, especially those polluting things will disappear at that time. So let's come to the major function that is in January. Obviously, Makara Sankranti, or what we celebrate in other places as Bogi, Lori, or Pongal, right? And so many other names. Basically, that is a harvest festival, the winter harvest, right? But if you really look it in the other way, it is basically the Mesha Sankramana, right? Makara Sankramana. So you have the Makara Rasi, and the sun is entering that, transitioning to that place, and that is where you are having the and also basically that's also the Uttarayana. That's also the a lot of interesting coincidences. So you are celebrating harvest. Basically, what was the focus there? Usually things related to farmers were the focus. In many places, they will have like they bring all the trash in the house and burn it, like in Bogi, for example. Or they would also, and instead, what we have done is instead of burning all this junk in the house and replenishing the house, what we have done is we started burning stupidly things like tires that cause pollution. No Shastra says burn tires because there were no tires back in the day, and definitely it is a polluting thing. We should not do that. So here we introduced an idea of burning things like trash and tires and things like that. It became like a bonhomie, like it's like you are putting all sorts of junk and burning it. But what you and I should be doing is focus it on like getting rid of the junk in the mind, a spiritual connotation, and bringing in new things. But we forget about everything. So who is to blame? The people who are following it, or people who want to hijack it? So let us take another, let's move on in the calendar, right? Like in some North India, obviously, Vasant Panchami is a big one, because in some eastern parts you will find that like a Saraswati Puja. Although in South we celebrate Saraswati Puja at the end of Navaratri, that's a different tradition. See, that is another interesting thing. You will find there is also Navaratri, which is also celebrated in North India in a different calendar. So you will find the same theme celebrated in different parts of India. You will also find the same festival being celebrated differently in different parts of India. That's another interesting thing that is so unique to India. That is the foundational fabric of Sanatana Dharma. Depending on that region, depending on that custom, you will find a flavor which is so different. Then you have lots of regional festivals. We are not going to go into that. We are just going to look into the major ones. And because we are focusing here on a theme, what is happening to our Hindu festivals, and why is the title given "We Are at Crossroads"? So the next one is Mahashivaratri, right? The major one. And what is it like the Falguna Masa, where we have this Shivaratri, and now we have people who certify themselves as yogis who come and say Shiva is not Hindu, Kashi is not related to Shiva, Kashi has nothing to. Yeah, we have to believe him because he has the biggest dadi. Bigger the beard, you actually run away from them. That's a different thing. But this is how we have been infiltrated by people, and these are so called New Age Babas who swear that you don't need Vedas, you don't need this. They will interpret any Shastra for you. And then they will put a preface somewhere. Hey, I am not trained in this. If you are bloody not trained in that, keep all your holes shut. You are calling yourself yogi, you should learn to keep at least your mouth shut. But the same fraud babas will put a huge image of Shiva statue, and he will be charging money. He will be selling soil to you, selling bags to you, selling this, selling that. And what is worst, they are brainwashing you. They are saying Shiva is not at all Hindu. And these are people whom we call as Hindu New Age Babas. But you ask that guy, he says, no, I am not a Hindu. You know who I am referring to. Then we come to Holi. Holi is such a wonderful festival that has been hijacked completely. Completely. Holi is a wonderful time where we look at Bhagavan, Vishnu. Look at how he protected Prahalada from Holika. Holi is also having other connotations. We have this Dahi Andi, this, that, all those things that are happening. Everything has been under attack now. Now everybody is put all sorts of case. You can't climb on shoulders. You can't make human pyramids more than 2 people tall. All sorts of junk they have introduced. Who are these people? Oh, we are the human rights people. We are the the PETA. We are this. We are that. Who the hell are you to monitor Hindu festivals? We don't ask. You know why we don't ask? We don't care. You know why we don't care? Because when Holi was celebrated with all natural colors, in the last 2, 3, 4 decades, we have reduced all the colors, we are using it to synthetic colors. We don't care if it causes all sorts of skin problems, eye problems. We don't care. It has been reduced to just fun and frolic. So who is responsible for that? It is us. And we are not watchful. We don't understand. It's like even in places where they have no idea about Holi, it is okay to have fun. But the problem is we don't have that connection. The fun was always eco-friendly. But are we eco-friendly? No. Far from it. So Holi has been reduced again to they put all sorts of bad names and labels. Now it becomes an easy target. Anyone who wants to put a bad name, they can pick festivals like Holi and say like, look, there is a lot of pollution going on. You guys are not even bothered about what kind of colors you are throwing. It is also an opportunity for some of the miscreants to misbehave with women. I have seen this. And neither they can, it need not be even the guy is a Hindu celebrating it. He is not even, he could be even non-Hindu. But that gives them the opportunity to go and create problems. So then we have, like I said, Navaratri, we have the Vasanta Navaratri, right? Like in Chaitra Masa. So that is a Navaratri that is more popular in North India than in South, but that is another. Now there are two uh, people who are almost always abused, especially in South India. Rama and Krishna. You come to Tamil Nadu, the worst kind of Hindu phobes live there. Now, not necessarily the entire population is like that, don't misunderstand. The masses are not there. But the ruling party, which is a party of Hindu phobes, has been increasingly adding this Hindu phobia. And this is not even phobia right now, it's like mania. It's more than mania. It's like so bad that they can go and tell anything and they can abuse anyone and they have the power. And who voted, that's a different issue. But here we are talking about Ramanavami. Now, luckily, here it is a very simple thing to celebrate Rama. All you have to do is near more panakam. That's all. You don't have to do anything complicated. So he kind of escaped there, you can say. Then we come to Ugadi. Now, again, we make all this Ugadi and all those things. Now, everything is commercialized. Oh, you have to celebrate one Hindu festival immediately. You know what? We have Akshaya Tritiya, you have this, that, you have Ugadi, you got that is Vishu or Tamil New Year's Day, and you got all these things, and every day what you do is like it's an opportunity to sell you more trinkets. Were our ancestors going so bonkers buying stuff? But we have reduced the festival to such a ridiculous thing that we got to do all these things. Unnecessary pressure. Okay, GDP is growing because of that. That's a different thing. But that's not the reason why GDP should be growing. So then we have Baishaki or Mesha Sankramana. Right? So we move down the calendar. Now there is another, we are soon coming to Hanuman Jayanti. Do you know that the average person who is writing about Hanuman, if I am Sachidanandam in English, in Tamil, in Sanskrita, in everything. But Hanuman suddenly becomes monkey god. Bloody hell, why do we translate? Or translate something wrong? So we have borrowed this bad habit from all these people from the West. The people are already abusing. People like Devdutt Patnaik and people like Wendy are all abusive. But even when we are talking, because we have picked up English as a language, right? So we want to show off. We can't say Hanuman. So, how does a foreigner know Hanuman? When the foreigner can come and tell you Peter, when the foreigner can come and tell you Jesus, when he can tell you all names which you can't even originally tell, that is okay. But you can't tell the foreigner Hanuman. So, let's stop this kind of bad translating. I don't know why we have this very sick mindset or inferiority complex that we have to reduce ourselves and glorify to Goras. I don't know. We got to get over this disease, literally. We are not going into every single festival. We are just looking at some prominent ones so that we understand what is happening. Okay, coming down, we have come to Guru Purnima. I ask the average person, who is a guru? Now, if the person has no spiritual guru, no connection to any mata or any person of a person who is a spiritual personality, you know what the person says? My school teacher. Arey Baba, Your school teacher is as secular as it gets. Your school teacher is as dear as, now I say, it has got nothing to do with not respecting your teacher. By all means, please respect till the end of your life. I am suggesting please do that. I respect my teachers whom I have not seen in eons. Yes, they are the ladders on which I climbed and I am here. I am still respectful of the ladders and I will not kick them. That doesn't mean that we don't even understand who is a guru. Average person doesn't even know that it is Vyasa who is responsible for Sanatana Dharma in the flavors we have today. If Vyasa did not give us the the recompilations of the Veda, remember, that is another pointer we should remember. Some people go to Google and say, like, when was Veda written? Oh, Rig Veda is the oldest Veda. It was written around 200 BC, whatever. And then after that, Yajurveda. Nothing can be farthest from stupidity. The Vedas all came together. The Vedas all evolved. Atmaji, can you hear me? I just got a call, so I don't know if the quality went down. I think my volume went down. Let me step out and come back. 1 second. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So the Guru Purnima is something where we worship and venerate Veda Vyasa Rishi. Now Veda Vyasa is none other than Narayana himself. It was thanks to Veda Vyasa we got all the Shanmatas, we got all the Puranas, we got Mahabharata, we got Brahma Sutras. So Veda Vyasa contribution cannot be overstated. But we barely talk about Veda Vyasa. I am a school teacher. So this kind of false equivalence, what we draw, is kind of not only irritating but also such a big hindrance in our spiritual journey. Here we are trying to speed up our spiritual journey. Now, luckily, some of the festivals have not yet touched the the Hindu forces, like say Mahalakshmi Vratam or Varalakshmi Vratam we call, and things like that. And then we come to the big one in southern India, Onam. The very heart of Onam is Bhagavan Vishnu. The very heart of that is Vamanavatara. The very heart of it is they talk about Mahabali. But today Onam is reduced to, it is now as secularized. Muslims have their own flavor with hijab and burqa, whatever, so that they can take control of that. The Christians have been adopting these kind of things and claiming that it is a Kerala festival, not a Hindu festival. The same problem is happening with Pongal in Tamil Nadu. They introduced a secular Pongal. Though no non-Hindu celebrates, they make such a big hue and cry to make sure that that it is getting amplified. They call it Samatva Pongal. And nobody believes that. Can you get that too a recently neo-converted Christian or Muslim to come and say, hey, I accept the Hindu roots? They are filled with so much hate that they can't even digest that idea. But here is the secular, so-called secular forces, so-called government and all these political forces that are flattening this lay of the land so that more and more can be pushed in. Then we have Raksha Bandhan. This has become into, no other tradition around the world celebrates brother-sister relationship. But today they have made so many movies showing it in such a bad light that it has become like even the people believe that you have to give money. It is all about money. It is not about the values, that the brotherly love and the sisterly love and the bond. No. We have reduced it to such a level that it is all about give me money or I will not give you back the stuff I have hidden. Again, Janmashtami is something which they have not focused on Janmashtami per se, but they have been using Krishna as a target to abuse, especially the Abrahamic communities. They have been using Krishna as the target. Oh, Krishna married so many people, Krishna did this, Krishna did that. Oh, morons, that is avatara. Now, Swami Chinmayananda said, know what you can do? Somebody came to him and said, like, Swamiji, Krishna married so many people. Can't I marry two people? He said, like, yeah, you can. So the guy was so happy. He said, like, thank you. Before he could conclude his moment of happiness, he said, you know what? Krishna also, day 2, day 3, he took poison from Putana. Why don't you take some poison? He also danced on Kaliya. He also did so many wonderful feats. Why don't you also do one little like that? Forget about king cobra and all. Just water snake, I'll give you. Why don't you hold it and try to do some? You don't have to dance on it, just hold it. The dance will come automatically. Right? So we kind of do all these things. We draw a false equivalence. And we say like, oh, if Krishna did, why can't I do? The people who, the guy who in one desert long time back, there was one psychopath. He was so over obsessed with sex that he didn't even leave a small single digit child. But that community will come and say like Krishna did this. So, and immediately the Hindus will not know anything. Krishna had 8 primary wives. Now you can't even maintain one wife. Why are you worried about Krishna maintaining 8 wives or whatever? In Bhagavatam, there is an episode where Narada comes and he goes to different houses of Krishna. In every house, he wants to know how Krishna is maintaining his grahasthashrama. So every house he goes, Krishna's house, it's a different wife obviously. So he goes to Bhama's house, so Satyabhama is there and Krishna is there doing something. He goes to then Rukmini's house, Rukmini is there and Krishna is doing something else. In one house Krishna is sleeping, another house he is helping his wife, in another house he is doing something else. He is there everywhere. Can we do that? Then let's come to Ganesh Chaturthi, one of my favorite festivals. See, nothing can be more special than Ganesh Chaturthi, because to celebrate Ganesha, you don't need anything. Especially in southern India, you might, many of you may know the traditions. You don't need anything. You just catch hold of a small lump of turmeric powder. You can do Avahanam as Ganesha. You get a little piece of clay and you just make a triangle out, a pyramid out of it, like a small pyramid. You can call that Ganesha. He has no major requirements or whatever. If you look at every Ganesh Chaturthi, that time, we use 21 types of leaves, 21 types of flowers and fruits and things like that to worship him. There is a significance in 21. Let's not get into why and what not. But the thing is that there is a... And what do you use for those 99% of all the leaves and flowers that are used are what you and I consider as weeds. You use calotropis flower. Have you ever used calotropis flower for anything else? You use datura flowers. Datura is a poisonous weed. You use what is it, like leaves, grasses, things which he is happy. He is the most eco-friendly Bhagwan. In South India, at least, I don't know about in North India, but in South India, the tradition is usually that is the time when um, the northeast monsoon and southeast monsoon are kind of like, there is a kind of like a overlap. There is the southwest monsoon is kind of retreating and the other winds are changing in Tamil Nadu, for example. In other places also, it is kind of retreating. So what happens, a lot of these water bodies have water. So to deepen that, what they do is they go and dig all the clay. That clay is what they use for doing the creating the image of Ganesha. And after the Visarjan, you go and put that Ganesha back in a water body. This was the practice all along. But in came, we want bigger Ganesha. So what do? We put plaster of Paris. We want colorful Ganesha. We put all sorts of synthetic colors. We want plastic Ganesha. Now Ganesha also is imported from China. We have gone to such a level of stupidity that we don't even understand the value and significance of Ganesh Chaturthi. Ganesh Chaturthi is one festival where you commune yourself with nature, 100%. No two ways about it. No two thoughts about it. Ganesh Chaturthi is 100% you are communing with nature. But what have we done? We have taken it in the wrong direction. Then Navaratri. Now Navaratri or Dashara is kind of like in different places, different flavors, the same timeline, right? But in North India, it is Dasara or Durga. In East, it is Durga Puja. In Gujarat, it is Garba. Today, Garba is the favorite haunt of all love jihad specialists, because all these girls find energetic dancing partners who eventually turn out to be from the mullah community, and as shortly thereafter these girls are used only for a few sessions of physical pleasure and then thrown out with a baby, or they are just, their life is just destroyed, or they get they say that I am a Hindu, they marry the lady and they cut her throat or whatever is happening. You go and look at the papers, what is happening. I don't even have to go so gory, because I'm only giving you the euphemistic picture. So here is a wonderful festival where we let outside forces to come in and do disruption, and we are not even bothered about it. That is the worst part. We are not even bothered about it. If we are bothered, then it makes sense. So we need to wake up. We need to take some time to wake up. Of course, we have again we come all the way to Deepavali. Now next week Deepavali, right? Now Deepavali in different parts of India celebrate Deepavali for different durations and different reasons, right? In North they celebrate as Rama and Sita returning to Ayodhya. But in South, we celebrate it as killing of Narakasura, and we celebrate like that. So we have both Rama and Krishna, and also we have a lot of other things mixed in, like say Dhanteras, some people have New Year and whatnot. So that is the beauty and the speciality of Indian thing. We have all this thing. Now what happens? Now comes PETA. Oh, my dog is not able to sleep because you are celebrating Deepavali. The same idiot will not tell that you are bursting crackers in New Year. You are reveling and drinking and causing all sorts of problems in New Year time. Oh, that is part of culture. But if you celebrate Deepavali, oh, you are causing pollution. And we are like, okay, yeah, I understand. Pollution, we should not. But at the same time, we don't even understand what is the value of it. The value of Deepavali is not one free day we just sit at home, or that is a time for our reflection. We are getting rid of the darkness of our mind and replacing it with the jnana, with the light of jnana. But we don't think in that way. We are so deracinated, we don't even understand. See, for example, now Karwa Chauth was over, right? You see, all this Bollywood or some cricketer's wife, because that fellow scored a few runs, doesn't mean that his wife can turn her potty mouth and spew venom everywhere. If there's some idiot acted in these people are like who act in kind of B grade movies, what I call Bollywood movies are all B grade only. They are only like a glorified version of a porn, that's all. Sorry for being so strong, but that is how I feel. Majority of the movies are B grade porn movies, because they have only, most of them have one theme. It is either about love or sex. It is either about revenge, if there is the second option, and it's a combination of two. And if not, it will be like a triangle love. I have covered like 90% of the movie themes in Bollywood now. Tell me what is left. One or two movies will be there like this or like that. And then you will have a movie like PK, where the guys have the open pass to ridicule it, to abuse Hindus, to make mockery. The same guy who calls intellectual freedom will not have the honesty to just depict the psychopath who had sex with a 9-year-old, a child, for heaven's sake. Because these psychopaths have no intellectual honesty. But what we don't have is that connection. Hey, it is my festival that is getting hijacked. When Karwa Chauth, it's all about a husband and wife. It's all about celebrating these. Now they have made it like Karwa Chauth is patriarchy. So if you worship for, if your spouse, if your wife prays for your long healthy life, it is called patriarchy. Go figure what it means. The foundation of a society is the family. And if the wife cares for the husband, then it is called patriarchy. Because these works define man, woman, nothing. Now in America, they have started using this term. I find it very abusive. They call the person, they don't even call mother. They call that person as the birthing person. Imagine where we celebrate motherhood, and here is the wokeism, the woke world that wants to. There is no blending. You don't know, even in India, you can find these characters, males dressed as women, walking in the streets of Bangalore. I am told that somebody was telling me a few days ago that if you come to Bangalore, they can take you to certain places where these are people who are wearing like sari, salwar, pajama, salwar, whatever, right? Women clothes. So where we are even heading, we don't know. So obviously it is offensive for these kind of characters, that if you pray for the husband. And who are these Bollywood actresses to come and condemn every year about Karwa Chauth? And we don't even talk strongly back. Why this kind of attitude? I don't understand. I think we have to, we should give up this pusillanimous mindset. Then we come all the way to all the other festivals. You have like say Kumbh Mela, you have some major Godavari Pushkaram or something like that. There are miscreants there also. They deliberately enter. That is where they are finding people where they can spread their religion. That is where the target for converting. What does the damn Bible community got to do with Godavari Pushkaram or with Kumbh Mela? But that is where these idiots would come and distribute their pamphlets or do whatever problems. See, we don't understand what kind of forces are acting here. I'll give you a small taste of just the Christian satanic forces. See, Christianity is they keep calling others as Satan, right? You will be surprised that entire Christianity is rooted on that entire idea of Satan, and they are the Satans. I'll give you a couple of examples, and then we will go to what we should be doing. Then we can probably wrap up our talk. So, the number one festival is what for them? Christmas. Do you know Christmas was not even originally celebrated until 300 or whatever in what is it like probably in 250 270 AD, around that time it was not even December 25. At that time, the biggest festival that was happening in that part of the world where they became the first Christian kingdom, that is the Rome, or the major one, not technically the first small kingdom, the first major kingdom or empire that catapulted to Christianity was Roman Empire. And they had a sun festival going on. It's called the Aurelianus, and they also had a series of celebrations. It's called Saturnalia, and they celebrated this. So these guys thought like, what we will do is we will move our festival to match. So they said Jesus was born on December 25. So they hijacked the entire Saturnalia festival, entire Aurelianus festival, and they renamed and rebranded. Now, why should we be worried about this historical thing? Because that is the same thing they are doing. How many of you see during Navaratri, they celebrate, they have one picture of Jesus and they do that? How many of you know that Saraswati Puja has been replaced and they have put Jesus Puja? How many of you know that for Diwali they are doing the same thing? How many of you know that for Pongal they are doing same thing? They have started conducting special prayers, special things, so that people who are potential targets, hey, you want to celebrate Pongal Deepavali, you can also come. That is the first year. By the time second year, you are already brain dead. You are already gone, crossed. So this is only a conversion facility just to make it more comfortable. The same thing they did with the Julian calendar, right? The European calendar was based on Julian calendar. But what they did again later, they switched the dates. They made the date from it used to be starting in March. Then they flipped it to just like remember March again. When do our Ugadi around that timeline, Tamil New Year's Day, Vishu, around that timeline, they also had the same, but they flipped it to an artificial calendar that starts at January. Similarly, they hijacked. Now, if you don't believe what I said, go and search on the word Lent. In January 10th or something like that, that's when this Lent comes. The very, very orthodox, like very, very hyper bookish, this is only like one or two people only. They those communities in Christianity, they call that as the original birthday of Christ. So that it was moved like 15 days before. Now look how dishonest this community is. They don't care. If they want to market their idea, they will tell anything. You don't believe me? Just go and look at Japan. The Jesus there looks with a Japanese hue. In Africa, the Jesus is whatever color, the color of the masses. And if you come to India, they have already replaced Ganesha and they put Mary holding now for all that funny thing, there was no historical person called JC. There is no historical for first 95 years of the existence. The first one recorded instance comes not that is the time when the Romans write one big kind of like a book. It's like a backdated story. Hey, there was a guy some time back, about 100 years ago. Do you know what happened 100 years ago? Do you know who are the freedom fighters who literally fought? Don't tell me Gandhi and all those popular ideas. The real people who fought, who died. Gandhi was never put in Rangoon jail or Kalapani. He was always kept in big palaces in house arrest. Gandhi and Nehru never got a real prison. Why? But that's a different point. I just want you to think that if the community is so evil that they could even change the birthday of the so-called founder so that they can have more wider acceptance. The same thing with Easter. They hijacked Easter also, which was a so-called pagan festival. Halloween, for example. The Irish people, the Celts, they were all related to the people who migrated from India. You know, in Mahabharata, you have Anu, Drukyu, and all those people. They went towards the Drukyus became the Druids. That is an interesting paper by Jayasri Sarnath, and she goes very much into that details. You will find even like there were people in Syria, Assyria, those places where today what we call as Syria, parts of Palestine, that part of area, were ruled by people who followed the Vedic ideas. Whenever Egypt was the superpower back in the day, every time they used to fight them, they used to be beaten up. And then they will go and write contracts, peace contract with them, telling that, hey, in the name of Indra, in the name of Varuna, we will sign this contract that we will not wage war with you. And Egypt used to take pride in marrying this into this community. So the Indian culture was there all the way there. And then there was also influence in the whom we call as the Celts and the Druids. All of these people were butchered, massacred. Now we are not getting into what Christianity's ugly face is. We are just telling how they even hijacked. So what was Halloween was the day of remembering the ancestors. And if you look at our culture and community, we respect the Pitrus the maximum around the world. I mean, today we are not, that may be a sad thing, but as a community, we put the Pitrus right on par with Bhagavan. We worship, we do all the samskaras, and we do all sorts of rituals. Now, the Christians have adopted Halloween, and now Halloween has come to India, and we are like idiots celebrating Halloween. We don't even know what it is. We think it is like a fun event with costumes. So if you look at the different events and the different festivals, that now the Christianity is very deeply offended because people started writing about all these things. Hey, all these things have been hijacked. But guess what? They have been fighting their best tooth and nail to say, no, these are not 100% non-Christian. We also have... But you cannot escape the reality. You can tell whatever you want. For example, I'll just leave the Christian part of it with this. The Christian community was the last one to get a dying God and surviving God, the one who dies and comes back up. If you look at the timeline, starting from Mesopotamia, where there was a lady goddess who was also the same way, she died and she was revived. Same way Egypt had, the Romans had, the Greeks had. The only people who didn't have were the so-called people who later became Christians. So they just copied a story that was told again and again and again. For example, many of the biblical stories, let's say the story of flood, you think it was originally recorded by the Christians? No. It was not even a Christian idea. It was the Old Testament that was stolen from the Jewish. So that if you remove the Old Testament, there is no credibility for the New Testament. There is nothing to give credibility, even not one bit. So to give credibility to their New Testament lies, so they said we also follow Old Testament. But that's a different problem for a different time. Let's not get too distracted. So basically what I was telling you was, here are two kind of problems we are having. Problem one, we as Hindus, we are not looking at our own festivals with seriousness. We have reduced it to some mechanisms of consumerism, materialistic, like we have reduced, for example, Akshaya Tritiya, you have reduced it to buying gold. Whereas if you look at even Bhagavatam, if you look at the Kali Yuga, all the parameters, the discussions that happen between Parikshit and whatnot, Parikshit clearly says where there is Swarna, where there is gold accumulation, Hiranya, that is where you will find Kali. And here we have dedicated one full day. No Shastra Pramana is there, but we have converted one holiday for that. There are so many other good things that are happening on Akshaya Tritiya. If you go and ask the average person, he says like, I don't know. So here is let's start winding down the thoughts. These festivals are like, I would like to give you an example, like launching pads. Let's say like a big bus station. Let's say like Kempegowda bus station, like in Bangalore, like where hundreds of buses are departing, or like a major train station, like say Bombay or like Vijayawada or Chennai or something like that. So you have like lots of trains passing through. So what these festivals are doing is, they are launching you in a spiritual journey. And in Indian Hindu calendar, you will find this happening for no rhyme, no reason. Apart from all this, you have based on the lunar calendar, you got Amavasa, you got Paurnami, you got Ekadasi, right? You got Shashti if you are a follower of Skanda. You got like that one day has been dedicated, right? Like Monday is supposed to be special for Shiva. Like that, you got like different layers. The basic idea of all these festivals is twofold. One, in the society, what it is doing, it is supposed to make you interact with other people, have good relationships, make you wish for the welfare of everyone. So back in the day, when people used to be celebrating Deepavali, first thing they used to ask is, hey, did you have Ganga Snana? And then they will say like, hey, these are the bhakshanam we made in our house, we exchange. Navaratri, for example, in South India, like it's a great opportunity. People keep exchanging lot of, especially in the evening, they go and give sundal and all those things. Like say, for example, even in Deepavali in North India also, there is a lot of exchange of sweets and things like that. But here is where we drop the ball. Everything is now commercialized. Here, what used to be the case was, we do everything in our home. The emphasis was on Shraddha and Bhakti. Today, it is now an opportunity to put a Twitter post. I gave this. You take a picture with your friend and say, I gave all this to this guy. You want proof. You go and buy stuff that is made several days before in a store and you are giving it. Did Krishna want you for that Krishna Jayanti, all the store-bought goods? No. He says, give me one tulasi dala, you give me one drop of water, or get me one fruit, I am happy. Pushpam, palam, toyam, even one patram, I am happy. But What we have done is, no, we are celebrating. We want that kind of like propaganda. We want that kind of focus. So that has made a lot of opportunities for the inimical forces to pick us on. Like I told you, how they are taking Jallikattu as which was a traditional thing, which is totally not like what is happening in Spain. The bullfighting in Spain or in Europe is a very, very bad thing. They throw kind of spears and all sorts of sharp things. Very horrible. Whereas in Jallikattu or in the Indian form of what is it like bullfighting, what we do is in the bull on the back, what we call as the timur or the hump, you are supposed to only hold that and you are supposed to stop that. It is not throwing stuff and what this barbaric Abrahamic stupidity. But we don't have the moral temerity to even challenge PETA, because we have lost our inner connection with Dharma. If you are connected with Dharma, you will be bold enough to take any negative character. You will be strong enough. Like I told you, Ganesh Chaturthi, today we have made Ganesh Chaturthi, who is building biggest Ganesha? Where is more plaster of Paris? Where we will put more chemicals? We will put more polluting stuff and give target to somebody. So we are painting Ganesha and we are painting the target and saying others, come, bail mujhe maar. Come and hit me. So instead of that, we need to go back to our roots. Go back to our roots and celebrate it with the original spirit. Is Diwali is Diwali only about crackers? Are Diwali also crackers as a symbolic expression of, we light lamps, right? Why? We also have prayer, right? Vedic prayer. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. That is just the symbolic essence of it. So when you are celebrating Deepavali, that's exactly what you are doing. You are symbolically getting rid of your inner tamas. Now we don't even understand that. So we reduce it to watching some special TV programs or something happening. So this is, and then we let people come and hijack this. So we have to fight back for that purity in our festivals, the original purpose of those festivals. Let's take it back. Let's take the narrative back from this pseudo-secular brigade, these anti-Hindu forces. Don't let any media person, any kind of like a Bollywood star or a cricket star's wife or some nonsense to come and dictate. Last year, I recall, not last year, few months ago, I think it was for Holi or something. As usual, Virat Kohli came and started opening his, started pouting his wife's Hinduphobic idea. People gave him a royal treatment and then he just shut the hell out of him. You have one fake actor, one Canadian migrated, but he acts all patriotic movies. So we are all like so patriotic. But his wife is one of the worst Hinduphobes. I'm talking about Akshay Khanna and Akshay Kumar and his wife. And then you have all these Khan guys coming and using their religion as a cover to abuse openly. And we say, oh, what great acting. Same thing with people like Kamala Hassan and all those people who are openly Hinduphobic. And these are the people who are influencing our thinking. If it is not them, then there are characters like Wendy Doniger and her Indian counterpart Dave Dirt Patnaik. He is only dirt only. People like this come and abuse. And what we need to do is point out their duplicity, stand up to their stupid tactics, stand up and go after their hypocrisy, expose their double tongue. And for that, you and I need a spiritual backbone. If you don't have a dharmic backbone, you can make all the noise you want. Nothing will happen. You can come to Clubhouse, you can talk to 500 people every day, you can talk to them, they will be again fighting back with you and nothing will happen. So how do you develop that spiritual backbone? And that is exactly the very purpose of having all these festivals. The very purpose of having these festivals is for us to get that opportunity. So if I tell you every day come and do meditation, every day come and do this, you won't. But what happens? Now Deepavali is coming, all of us make a commitment. I want to fight that tamas. It's not the symbolic external tamas, it's the inner tamas I want to fight. Just like bursting the cracker and you chase it away, I am going to burst it. So there is an element of sadhana involved. There is definitely an element of inner training involved. How do we get that? How do we stick on to the path of Shreyas? Because we are so fond of the Preyas Marga that even if there is no attraction, we get distracted. And for us to stick onto this path, we need that constant satsanga. We need a little time every day or every week or however often, connection to some scriptures. See, you have to understand what was the strength of Kauravas? It was only the numbers. What is the strength of all these Hinduphobic forces? It is only their numbers. The problem is when dharmic people want to copy their book and say like, hey, come, let's do the numbers. No, Dharma is not dependent on numbers. Dharma is dependent on the intensity of your sadhana. Dharma is dependent on the intensity of you being committed to going in this inward journey, in slaying your inner demons, if you want to say that way. So it is our own sadhana, it is our commitment to be a truth seeker. It is, you don't have to accept everything because none of us have the intellectual ability to understand, analyze every single acharya, every single book, every single thing. Even few days ago, somebody asked the question, right, in Hinduism, there are so many books, which one to do? You get so confused. Why should you get confused? So many books are available, so there is no one book. So if you are a kindergartner, you have a book for your level. If you are a postdoc PhD, you got a book for your level. So start wherever you want. So be committed to being a truth seeker. And if you are going to be a truth seeker, you will not give up to such falsities. Fight back. Have a backbone. Don't let these bad, evil characters hijack the purpose of our life. When they are trying to abuse Sanatana Dharma, what they are doing is they are taking away your birthright to follow in that inner journey. Why do you want to give it away to them? And as we have been seeing all along, the evil forces will always be, see, that is the time when they will deliberately say, we are also celebrating Ramzan, you cannot come. That is the time they will say like, hey, we are also copying your festival, like how Christianity is doing. They will do all that. That is their nature. You can't expect something that is poisonous and toxic to give it up. It is their very DNA. But where we drop the ball is all the things we discussed. in what we are not doing? Why can't we go back to a more eco-friendly Ganesh Chaturthi? I have been telling this again and again and again. Last 1+ year, I have told this so many times. Why not start a garden in every village, every town, where you get all the leaves, flowers, and grasses, and everything what you want for puja samagri in every village. Do you know how many villages or how many Ganesh Chaturthis they offer all the 21 patra or 21 pushpa or 21 phala? We don't, because we don't even have that. And these were plants that were found on the roadside as weeds when I was a child. For me, the Ganesh Chaturthi was the best fun because I have to just roam around different places, pluck all sorts of things which are favorite to Ganesha, because that is all sanctified. So you get all these things that used to be a weed once upon a time. Today you can't even get that plant. And we are not even bothered. So there is an ecological damage happening, and you are not able to see that because you are not connected to your dharma. So the damage that is happening in the society is much, much larger than just a few festivals getting hijacked or you celebrating it in a modern way. So I know that we have taken this a very intense topic, but I just want to bring it up before we enter into Deepavali timeline, so that we take this moment and make some internal commitments to ourselves that we are going to take this time to educate our children. Instead of saying, hey, this day, why do we celebrate it on this day? What is the significance? What is the significance of that particular cosmological? Oh, I don't know myself. Yeah, better go and learn. Better go and learn. How are you going to pass the baton if you don't have a baton? How can we give the information to the next generation? How many thousands of years ago all these rishis found all this information, and we have been given for orally through so many generations. Let us not be labeled that generation that failed to transfer to the next generation. Let us not be such a failure that when we look at some rishi, let's not hang our head in shame. Let us learn the meaning of each festival. Let us learn what is the importance, significance, how I need to pass on to the next generation. Let's look at it. With those words, let's close this thought. And I have given a lot to from my heart, because this is very close to my heart and emotional. So if you are feeling it very strong, I'm not going to apologize. I'm going to say that it was purely intentional. Okay. With those thoughts, let's close our talk. Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Krishna, Har Har Mahadev.